Since Iron Lake, Harrison has been trying to build a normal life for himself, one that isn't shaped by Dexter's violence. He thought New York City might finally give him that chance. It didn't. Dexter found him, pulled him back in, and proved that escaping his father's influence was never going to be easy. And now, just as Harrison starts planning a future of his own, there's someone new in his life, Gigi Jones. She seems wholesome, she seems safe, but there's growing reason to believe she's anything but. Today, we're breaking down every reason Harrison's new girlfriend may be bad news for him, starting with her sudden interest in him. When Harrison first encounters Gigi, notice that he did not approach her. Instead, it was Gigi who noticed him and initiated their first interaction. During his son's tour of Collins College, Dexter was off with Prater and the gang, killing the second Gareth. So unlike all of the other prospective students, Harrison was all by himself. When Gigi saw him, Harrison looked lost and a bit insecure himself, and she seemed to notice that. Perhaps she was just doing her job, making incoming students feel welcome to the college, but there is also a non-zero chance that she honed in on Harrison because he seemed like an easy target, someone who she could easily manipulate because of how alone and insecure he seemed. Of course, Harrison began flirting back. Why wouldn't he? At the time, nothing seemed off about Gigi, and Harrison can be a bit naive at times. But that raises a bigger question. Does Gigi have a predatory instinct of her own? A kind of sixth sense that lets her spot someone who's emotionally exposed before anyone else does? Someone already off balance, already vulnerable. Her intentions could be genuine, but out of everyone there, why Harrison? That part still isn't clear. And even if there's no hidden agenda at all, Gigi's presence still creates a problem for Harrison, because getting close to someone new has never ended well for a Morgan. One of the first clear visual details people notice about Gigi is the protective cast she wears on her right arm. Unlike a normal costume choice or a throwaway prop, her cast and the injury are explicitly made into part of her backstory and character development. According to Gigi, her arm was seriously injured in an accident, and that event would have long-standing consequences for her personal life and professional aspirations. She told Harrison that the accident happened when a drunk driver collided with her motorcycle, throwing her from her bike and ripping her arm open, leaving it severely damaged. In the immediate aftermath, the wound was serious enough to require intensive and immediate care, but even after months of recovery, she was told that the nerve damage was permanent. Because of the extent of her injury, Gigi was basically incapable of following her dream of becoming a detective. This was understandably a tough pill for her to swallow, but the fact of the matter is that an injury that serious meant that she would never be able to complete the academy and make it through mandatory police training. The severity of the nerve damage means that she can no longer handle the physical demands of traditional police work, things like weapon training and other on-duty activities that rely on physical dexterity and control. So rather than flourishing as a star cadet in the academy and eventually a future detective, the injury is now a defining part of her journey. That means she can never really have the life she envisioned. And that isn't the kind of news that everyone can handle well. Just think about it. Her newfound disability basically equates to the loss of a dream. Gigi had worked her way into her sophomore year at the Collins College of Criminology with her eye on joining law enforcement. But if she is actually injured as badly as she says, this shifts the trajectory of her entire life and forces her to confront what her future might look like now that she can't pursue her original goal. That kind of situation can destabilize someone fast. When a dream collapses, people don't always react predictably, and the cast itself does a lot of work for her. It's always visible, always present, a constant signal that she's limited, vulnerable, and harmless. No one looks twice at someone who seems broken, but what if that image is misleading? It's possible she isn't telling the full truth about how she got hurt. Maybe it wasn't a motorcycle accident at all. Maybe it happened during something she doesn't want anyone asking questions about. If she needed to hide that, a simple, sympathetic story would do the trick. One injury, one explanation, and suddenly she's not a suspect. She's a victim. And that's a powerful place to be, especially if someone wants to stay invisible. And what if her arm isn't injured at all? If Gigi isn't as innocent as she seems, making herself look harmless would be the smartest move she could make. She's already young, confident, attractive, the kind of person most people wouldn't even consider as a suspect. Add a cast to the equation, and suddenly she feels completely non-threatening. And if she did have bad intentions toward Harrison or anyone else, that cast, real or not, would help her blend in, earn trust, and buy time. Sometimes that's all someone needs, and even if the injury is real, that still opens the door to problems Harrison may not see coming. The way Harrison reacts to her news about the injury highlights the increasing emotional depth of their relationship. When she opens up about the permanent nerve damage, she seems really upset, almost defeated, revealing how deeply the accident has affected her sense of self. But she still uses humor and bravado to mask some of her disappointment. Harrison reassured her that her dream wasn't over, pointing out that she can still pursue other roles in law enforcement, like forensics, where physical ability is less important. This moment shows that her injury became a bonding point between her and Harrison. It seems genuine, but it also highlights how quickly Harrison has started to fall for Gigi, which is where the possible problem comes in. Harrison is living a double life at this point, just like his dad. He may care about Gigi, but he can't be completely honest with her. Something about telling your new girlfriend that your dad is a serial killer and that you've helped him kill people before seems like it would be an instant deal breaker. Not to mention the fact that Harrison had also recently killed someone, the predator Ryan Foster. He can't tell her about any of that, no matter how much it's all affecting him. Sharing that information could cost him more than a girlfriend. It could cost him his freedom if she ever told anyone. It would also put his dad at risk of being arrested for helping cover it all up. But when you care about someone, sometimes you do crazy things. If Harrison thought he could trust her and confided even a little about any of the murders, he would be immediately vulnerable at her mercy. Not only that, but she could be used as bait or a bargaining chip. If Dexter goes up against the wrong person in season 2, and they found out she was even remotely important to him and his son, she could be kidnapped and used to force Dexter to go somewhere or do something he otherwise wouldn't, just like Lumen and Hannah were in the original series. And Harrison may not make the most rational decisions if Gigi were taken. He would blame himself. He would believe that he put her in harm's way, and that could lead to some pretty rash actions. The last time Harrison saw a woman in danger, he killed a guy. The more desperate the situation became, the more reckless he could become in his attempts to protect her. By entering Harrison's life, Gigi unwittingly put herself in danger. Everyone who gets close to Dexter suffers in one way or another. Everyone he cares about ends up dead because of the danger of merely associating. His double life means that he can never truly protect the people he loves, and Harrison is now starting down the same path. Dexter's compulsions lead to the death of Rita, Dokes, Maria, his old friend Miguel, and perhaps most tragically, his sister Deb. Most importantly is that Harrison knows almost all of that. When Angel was tracking Dexter, he made it clear to Harrison that it was because of Dexter that his mother and his Aunt Deb were dead. He even mentioned Maria LaGuerta's death to Harrison. With all of that information swirling around in his head, Harrison wouldn't be able to ignore his part in Gigi's death or kidnapping if something did happen to her. Having Ryan Foster's blood on his hands left him traumatized and racked with guilt. Having Gigi's blood on his hands could break him the way killing Maria broke Deb. Despite being a killer, Harrison has a soft heart. He blamed himself for Elsa's landlord being rude to her and leaving the mold in her apartment. So imagine if Gigi dies because of him or Dexter. He may not be able to live with himself. The newly repaired father-son relationship he and Dexter built in season 1 could fall apart all over again because of Harrison's rage and guilt if anything happens to Gigi. In this way, Gigi poses a major threat to Harrison without even being dangerous herself. Harrison is still very young, and he is not an experienced killer. If Dexter hadn't intervened, he would have already been caught for killing Ryan. He was able to stop himself from maiming Elsa's horrible landlord, but the urge to kill is clearly still right beneath the surface for Harrison. He needs Dexter's guidance and oversight if he wants to stay out of prison. Harrison could snap again at some point, and if that happens, he will need his father's help. Becoming distant from Dexter again could mean being caught and imprisoned. Harrison can't afford to allow anything to jeopardize his bond with his dad right now. Later in life, he may not need Dexter's assistance, but for now, that is the only thing keeping him free. That makes Gigi a huge liability because one wrong move from Harrison or Dexter and she could become the latest collateral damage after being caught in their web of lies. And going back to the theory that she herself is dangerous, what if she isn't a killer but is unhealthily obsessed with Harrison? She latched onto him pretty immediately upon meeting him and wasn't deterred by anything weird about him, like how awkward his dad is, the idea that his mom was murdered, or that he lives in the hotel he works at. Does that maybe sound like someone we know? When Lila entered Dexter's life, it was like a whirlwind. She approached him. She didn't mind how odd he was, or even the fact that he was obviously lying about being a drug addict and hiding things from her. No matter what Dexter did, up to and including being a serial killer, Lila overlooked it because of her inexplicable addiction to him. Gigi could have a very similar issue. Keep in mind, she already revealed that it was her first time in the hotel with him, and that tends to hold a lot of emotional weight for people. If she's obsessed with Harrison, that definitely doesn't help. Lila was threatened by everyone in Dexter's life, from Deb to Cody. She wanted to be the only person he ever focused on and would go so far as to burn down her own apartment just to get his attention. She later kidnapped Rita's children before trying to kill them and Dexter in a fire. I guess the thought was that if she couldn't have him, no one could. And killing Sergeant Dokes just to keep Dexter free was perhaps the most drastic thing that she's ever done in the name of love. Lila created so many problems for Dexter that it's hard to keep track of them all. So if Gigi has even a shred of the same mental instabilities, Harrison is in more trouble than he realizes just by dating her for a little while. She could compromise his job, she could be threatened by his relationship with his father and how much they depend on one another. She could even become more jealous of how close he is with Elsa and Dante. If Harrison doesn't treat her exactly as she wants, it is very possible that she can make his life a living hell. Would she go full Lila and try to kill him, kill Dexter, or even Elsa and Dante? That can't yet be confirmed, but it's not hard to see how that could come about if she is as sinister as some theories are suggesting. When you put all this together, Gigi Jones emerges as one of the most unexpected high-impact variables in Harrison Morgan's life heading into Resurrection Season 2. On the surface, she looks like the antidote to everything traumatic and chaotic that Harrison has endured since his father came back into his life. She looks like someone who could offer Harrison normalcy, romance, understanding, and even the possibility of a future that isn't shaped by murder, cover-ups, and deception. But just like with nearly every other relationship in the Dexter universe, the reality of the situation may not match his initial fantasy. Gigi's presence in Harrison's life introduces a number of complications, and it's not even because she's been confirmed to be dangerous yet. The fact of the matter is that she now exists within a world where every emotional attachment has the potential to be deadly. Her initial pursuit of Harrison, approaching him first, reading his insecurities, and attaching herself to him during his first tour of Collins College can all be interpreted as either sweet or calculated, depending on how charitable you choose to be. If she is simply confident and outgoing, which would make sense considering her role at the college, Harrison got lucky and found someone willing to make the first move. But if she operates with a more predatory or opportunistic instinct, it raises larger questions about what she saw in Harrison during that first encounter and what she plans to do to him. Someone who is so isolated, insecure, and separated from almost any friends or family, and under such traumatic circumstances, is the perfect target for manipulation, codependency, or obsession. Whether intentional or not, Gigi gained immediate psychological leverage by positioning herself as the person who made Harrison feel understood and welcomed at a time when he was most vulnerable. And that can't be undercounted or ignored. Is she lying about her injury? Is she lying about how it happened? Does she actually have Harrison's best interest at heart? Or is she only out to get something she wants, no matter how it hurts him? And will Harrison manage to keep a clear head about it all? How far is he willing to go to keep her safe and in his life? Any sign of weakness or dependency on his part will only allow her to sink her claws deeper into his psyche if she is a hostile figure in the series. Just like Dexter almost got them both killed by dealing with Leon Prater, Harrison could be putting himself and Dexter at risk if he links up with the wrong person, and he is still too young and naive to realize what he's dealing with in many cases, so Gigi could pose a threat he doesn't even see coming. Because if Gigi herself turns out to be a Lila-esque problem, he is in for a world of pain. An obsessive partner who becomes possessive, jealous, or uncontrollably fixated on the one person who makes them feel seen is a familiar pattern in Dexter's own life, and something tells me Harrison isn't quite skilled enough just yet to deal with something like that on his own. If Gigi exhibits even a fraction of Lila's impulsivity or emotional rage, she could sabotage Harrison in so many ways, disrupt his fragile bond with Dexter, or simply lash out at anyone she perceives as competition. And that threat doesn't require anything unrealistic like her being a serial killer or a criminal mastermind at the age of 19. It only needs Harrison's natural innocence and a blinding obsession on Gigi's part. To undermine Harrison's safety and freedom, all she has to do is stay in his life. Do you think Gigi is going to be a major problem for Dexter and Harrison in the upcoming season? Any good theories we left out? Leave your thoughts on the entire situation below. And if you like this video, check out our video breaking down everything we know about Dexter Resurrection Season 2 so far. Remember to like this video and slash that subscribe button with your good arm. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.